She quickly nods and says she'll introduce herself as his maid, but he doesn't look too convinced she'll manage to stay normal in public. The cart rolls to a halt. They're being blocked by bandits. Cyan glances at Brian and tells him to deal with it. It's nothing major. Without hesitation, the swordsman slices their throats and finishes them off in one clean movement. He's clearly come a long way since their training sessions. With the road clear, he hops back onto the cart and they continue the trip. In the office of the hall master, Sarika flips through some papers handed to her by her assistant. The aide comments that this year's banquet has way more attendees than expected. Maybe they should delay the plan. Sarika refuses. The assassination of the Drenian Nephilis needs to happen now. The assistant hesitates and asks why she's so insistent. Sarika flatly states the truth. He's a predator who uses his magic to violate married women. Someone like him shouldn't live another day. And worse, he's also her fiancé. As she sorts through the papers, something catches her attention. A child she recognizes is on the guest list. She's a rare prodigy with perfect elemental affinity, 20% in every category, but her weak body keeps her from attending most classes. She's the granddaughter of the Garam Mage Association's head, Lunav Reaver. She's never made a public appearance before, so why show up now? The assistant says she heard the association leader personally ordered her to attend. That sets Sarika on edge. She's sure something's up. This banquet won't be simple. Back in the city, Cyan, Brian, and Nana are walking through the streets of a town they've just arrived in. Nana carelessly bumps into a stranger, but her innocent smile makes him forgive her instantly. Cyan makes a mental note. She needs to stop thinking the world is always nice. Suddenly, Brian notices something's off. Her eyes have shifted. She looks like a predator, dragon pupils back, radiating a strange hunger. She says she's starving, and they need to act fast before someone notices her aura. Cyan tells Brian to take her to the nearest restaurant. A few hours and countless dishes later, she's back to her sweet self. Good thing he brought enough money to handle her appetite. Just as he's relaxing, he senses an unfamiliar mana approaching from behind. A voice calls out, asking if he's really Cyan Vert. Cyan reels for a second. She knows his name. That alone puts him on edge. He keeps his tone guarded and asks her location. She doesn't answer. Instead, she casually takes a seat right beside him. He repeats the question slower this time. Eventually, she responds and introduces herself as Lunav, explaining that she attends the same school and is currently in her second year. The name rings a bell. He swears he's heard it before. Still, something about her doesn't sit right. Why the hell is she being this friendly? He coldly replies that he doesn't waste time on underclassmen. She shrugs and says that's fine. Compared to him, she's practically invisible anyway. Brian and Nana both pick up on the interaction. The maid leans in and asks if that girl is one of his friends. The knight, squinting, admits he has no idea who she is, but she sure doesn't seem like one. The girl comments on how close the knight and maid appear to him. With a playful edge, she notes that he feels warmer than the rumors make him out to be. He tries to brush it off, but the way she just complimented him out of nowhere only spikes his suspicions. She asks if he came to the capital because of the banquets. He nods, then immediately questions how she knew that. She answers flatly. There's no other reason he'd bother showing up in this city unless it's for those events. With a flirty little grin, she tells him they'll be seeing each other again at the venue, since she's been invited too. He figures that if she's attending, she must belong to nobility. All of a sudden, she rises and says she's heading out. Time to wrap up the introductions. She tosses him a wish, don't forget her. Then she drops her full name, Donald Rayner. And just like that, it clicks. He remembers her from before, granddaughter of the Gun Major Association president in Rain River. That man must have sent her here. In his former life, she died while studying at the academy. He can't tell if her death was from illness or the grotesque experiments the association had been running. This is uncharted territory. People he hadn't encountered in his past life are suddenly entering his path now, which means the future is in constant motion. And to top it all off, this is happening on Banquet Day, the day history will later remember as the Banquet of Blood. Elsewhere, Erin gets dressed for the occasion. She glances at Luxemius and asks if she looks okay. He reassures her. She looks stunning, more beautiful than ever. Even so, she's not convinced about the outfit and switches into a new dress. Luxemius grins, teasing that Cyan's going to love it. Her cheeks light up, her whole face flushing red, completely flustered. It surprises her that he'll be there tonight, even though she's the one who sent the damn invitation. A maid enters holding an ornate box and presents it to her. It's a necklace, sent by her brother, Lionel, who insists she look her best for her future wedding. She blinks, caught off guard by the gesture, but doesn't dwell on it much. Finally, the banquet arrives. The atmosphere is lively. Crowds pack the place, laughter and chatter flooding the space. Cyan moves through the hall, eyes scanning for his target. So far, no luck. That's when he spots Kellen among the guests and quickly asks whether Ashel is here too. Kellen confirms he's currently with Prince Lewin, but before anything else, he has something urgent to say, urging Cyan to get out of there immediately. He pauses and checks what's going on, Kellen doesn't doubt the intel, but says that if Cyan stays, he and plenty of others could be at serious risk. Ashil had personally warned him to leave the palace before the event began, mentioning he was preparing something. Unexpected. That final piece falls into place. Cyan finally sees the full picture. The one pulling the strings behind the banquet of blood is Ashil himself. Kellen admits he couldn't stand the idea of him getting hurt, so he begged him to leave. But Cyan tells him not to worry, he'll be fine. Kellen, on the other hand, better watch his own damn back. He heads off, mulling over what kind of stunt Ashil is cooking up now. Every passing day proves his brother is even more unhinged than he thought. Kerm shows up, casually mocking him, asking if he's suddenly grown a conscience about innocent lives. He shoots her a look and says, nah, it's just that the plan's kinda cute in a twisted way. Still, if things spiral, it's gonna get real ugly. He needs to intervene before it's too late. Using Ashil's astral lens, Cyan taps into Sarika's psyche and nudges her thoughts. He starts with a compliment about her dress. She immediately catches on that he's manipulating her mentally and cuts to the chase. What's he after? He tells her to delay the purification mission. She wants to know why. He says he got a tip-off. The banquet's about to go full massacre. He promises to explain more later, but right now, they need to confirm if any monsters have infiltrated the venue. She questions whether the intel is legit. He assures her he even knows who's pulling the strings. The dread's been creeping up for a while now. That scream in his head hasn't shut up. He didn't have full confirmation until now. He tells her to forget the target for the moment. With a smug tone, he adds that her creepy fiancé is probably going to die in the chaos anyway. He walks off while she stares after him, clearly pissed. Alice sees her and calls out. Sarika hears the voice and turns. She didn't expect to see Alice here. This wasn't part of the plan they agreed on. Alice replies that she just wanted to step out and get some air. But this isn't good. Alice is about to get caught up in the shitstorm. Sarika grows anxious about the mission. Then another voice cuts in, addressing her as Miss Sarika and calling out to Alice too. His tone practically drips with sleaze. And just when things couldn't get more chaotic, the target makes his grand entrance. He introduces himself with a smirk, Drainian Nephilis. That grin says it all, trouble. Meanwhile, Cyan pulls Brian aside for something critical. The knight perks up, eager to jump in. Cyan can tell he's getting more into this protector role lately, probably the excess dragon blood. He gives him orders to check the palace's underground tunnels. Brian takes off, ready to go. But before Cyan can say anything else, he stops him with a reminder. This isn't a game. The mission matters. Before he finishes, Brian picks up on movement behind him. Cyan immediately senses the presence, but before he can react, the knight leaps into action, assuming danger. He crashes into the figure. Turns out it's Emily. He stammers an apology as she hits the floor, unconscious. While that mess plays out upstairs, someone is already deep inside the palace's lower levels. He performs a ritual, issuing commands. Dozens of armed fighters begin to stir. The room is filled with shadows ready to strike. Inside the banquet hall, Princess Erin stands still, visibly irritated. Cyan and his group are nowhere to be seen. She had gone out of her way to invite them personally. This wasn't the response she expected. Out of nowhere, Lunav approaches, offering a polite greeting and saying it's an honor to meet the princess. Erin turns to her confused and asks for her name. She responds with a proper introduction. A moment later, Erin places her, same academic year, back at the academy. She remarks she could never forget someone that brilliant. With a dignified tone, she welcomes the girl to the event on behalf of the Empire. Lunav seems genuinely moved by the kindness and remarks aloud that Cyan should see how thoughtful the princess is. That catches Erin off guard. She hadn't expected her to know him. Lunav casually mentions they spoke just yesterday. Without meaning to, Erin blurts out the question, are they close? That's all Lunav needs to confirm her theory. So the princess is jealous, and in love. Their conversation is cut short by a woman's scream from across the hall. She yells for help, begging the guards to protect her, but it's already too late. A soulless fighter from the depths of the palace slashes her throat clean. Erin stands frozen. A monster has made it inside. The killer turns his head and locks eyes with her. There's no doubt she's his mark. Elsewhere in the palace, Cyan is in a side chamber, introducing Nana to Emily. He refers to her as his mate. Emily collapses to her knees, stunned. It hits her like a truck. He swapped her out for a younger, cuter maid. He doesn't humor the idea. He moves on, asking if Ashil was really the one who brought her here. She nods and says Ashil was so desperate to have her, he even offered her a job. She recalls how, a few days ago, he summoned her to his office. He asked her to work as his personal maid, claiming that since Cyan was away at the academy, she must be feeling lonely. She had declined, saying she'd rather stay and wait for him to return. He narrows his eyes and asks if she's absolutely sure, but she doesn't have any more answers. That's all she knows. He turns to Brian and tells him to stay close. Emily and Nana aren't safe on their own. Brian checks if he's heading out. Cyan confirms it. Emily wasn't supposed to be part of this timeline. Now, with spies crawling around and Ashil clearly pulling strings, he sees the whole play. His expression turns sharp. Ashil's crossed a line. Without another word, he storms off, set on reaching Aaron and whoever else is in danger. After he leaves, Emily breaks down crying. She clutches a bow tie tightly, the same one Ashel had asked her to give to Cyan. As she weeps, Nana senses something off. The gemstone on the bow tie radiates a faint, unsettling magic. She stiffens. Something about it feels wrong. Meanwhile, in a private chamber, Ashel and Prince Luenel talk in hushed tones. They both know the mission is officially underway. After everything, the moment has come. Luenel's gift is about to be delivered. Ashel gives Boris a nod of approval, calling him surprisingly effective. The prince grins and says, "This is only the beginning. Their unit will become even more valuable from here on." They're not just disrupting a party. They plan to tear down this peace-soaked empire and remind it exactly who it needs. Back in the Grand Hall, panic ripples through the crowd as the monster's attack causes chaos. Aaron keeps calm, helping direct people toward safety. Lunav urges her to leave while she still can, but she shakes her head. She won't leave until she's made sure everyone else is safe. She insists on staying to help. The creature overwhelms the frontline guards with ease. Then it splits. Identical copies spawn into the room. One clone grabs a guard and rips him apart before he can even scream. While everyone focuses on the copies, a demonic beast breaks through from behind. It tears through half the defense force in seconds. Despair sets in, but a new figure steps in, Sarika. She cuts down one of the beasts with expert precision, immediately commanding the remaining guards to focus on evacuating civilians. Then Alice appears, seamlessly entering the fight. Together, the two begin clearing out the enemies. The head guard tries to pull everyone into a coordinated retreat. Meanwhile, they hold their ground, preparing for the next strike. But to their shock, the creature doesn't even glance at them. Its focus is locked solely on Aaron. Just before its tentacle can reach her, a guard throws himself forward and slices it off. He dies instantly. A cluster of tentacles tears through the guard's body, killing him instantly. Aaron rushes to catch him, trying to keep him upright, but he's already gone. Tears run down her cheeks as guilt sinks in. She blames herself. Meanwhile, Lunav pushes back the advancing monsters, launching bursts of aqua blast mixed with gusts of wind. She turns over her shoulder and shouts for Aaron to get to safety. They'll handle things from here, and she's not letting that captain's death mean nothing. While they beg her to go, the princess stares one last time at the fallen guard. She whispers a promise that his sacrifice will count. The creature's roots are soaked in lethal toxins. Just brushing against them would mean instant death. This shield will block the poison. She commands the survivors to stay alive and fight back. The guards, fired up, charge in. Swords flash as they slash at the enemy, pushing through injuries and exhaustion. Even with her spell, the tide starts turning against them. That's when Alice steps in, releasing a freeze spell to halt the advance. One of the royal guardians pleads with Aaron again. She needs to evacuate, but Sarika finally reveals what she's really capable of. Drawing a dagger, she slices through monster after monster with precision. Although she teaches alchemy at the academy, wielding a blade like this risks exposing her true identity, but that's irrelevant now. She shifts to her fog sword technique and slays the towering demonic tree beast. An assassin lunges out of nowhere, catching a guard off guard. The alchemist spins and splits his face in two. She yells to the remaining soldiers. There are still more out there, and they can't lower their guard. Her plan is for Elise to get the princess out while they hold the line. But something itches at her. This still feels wrong. Alice and Aaron sprint down a hallway, escaping the chaos. The princess's thoughts swirl. If this girl really is one of the Verts, that would make her Cyan's sister. The thought snaps her back to him. Is he okay? Is he safe? Their train of thought shatters as a skeletal creature drops into their path. The thing doesn't seem lost. It knew exactly where to find them. Alice eyes the monster. Her gut tells her she can't handle it alone. It's a nightcrawler, a high-tier one. They team up, binding it in place with chains and coordination. Hope sparks as reinforcements leap in. Maybe they still have a shot. The nightcrawler swings with a brutal left hook. Lunav leaps in, throwing up a barrier that absorbs the hit. Alice seizes the moment, already on its back. With a smirk, she launches her attack, declaring her name and promising he'll regret ever showing up. The strike lands hard enough to finish him on the spot. Back in the banquet hall, Sarika brings down the last creature with a strike of fog-forged magic. Something nags at her. She walks over to one of the assassins and pulls off its mask. A chill runs through her. They're not living beings. They're corpses, puppets reanimated through dark magic. It's a twisted resurrection technique requiring ridiculous amounts of mana and setup. With this many, it couldn't have been a solo caster. Someone big is behind this. But the why is still a mystery. Elsewhere in the palace, a squad of marionette soldiers descends on the Emperor. He wipes them out easily, but his body gives out. Collapsing, drained, and gasping, he looks up to find Ashel and Luenel already in the room. The Emperor thanks them for their support, unaware they're the ones orchestrating the chaos. Ashel hurries to his side, swearing loyalty. It's all part of the setup to win his trust. Meanwhile, Elise cuts down one more creature and runs into the next chamber, but it's no better in there. More puppet assassins flood in, relentless. They just keep coming. Emily informs Brian that Ashel has given Cyan a bow tie. but he had already left before she could hand it over. Brian finds it odd that Ashel would give him a gift and admits he has a bad feeling about it. She asks if something is wrong. He isn't certain but notes that Ashel has never sent Kyan any presents before. From what he's observed, Kyan harbors a deep-seated grudge against his older brother Astral, far beyond typical sibling rivalry. From across the room, Nana warns Brian that they need to get out immediately. He asks why, but she only replies that something dangerous is approaching. Before they can respond or ask further, a monster bursts through the wall behind them. Brian orders them to flee while he handles the threat, a powerful beast, a behemoth. Meanwhile, Drainian, the target of the purification, runs desperately for his life. The others help evacuate him. He escapes faster than anyone else but is ambushed at the front doors by a horde of marionette corpses. Fear grips him. His only hope is to survive and return to his sweet, dear mate, whom he has been tormenting and abusing in his absence. He turns to suggest retreating to the back doors, thinking it might be safer, but before he can get a response, a marionette decapitates him in one swift motion. Just as the marionettes prepare to kill more, Alice intervenes with an aqua explosion. Paired with Lunav's freeze spell, they overwhelm and destroy the marionettes. Everyone in the room stares in shock at their display of power, curious about who they are, but there's no time for introductions. The mage warns that the danger isn't over, and urges them to protect Princess Erin. They turn their attention to the princess, checking if she's unharmed. She, however, is more concerned about Lunav's frail condition. Lunav reassures her not to worry and promises to recover quickly. She warns that the next assault will begin soon, and that Erin needs to evacuate. Despite that, the princess can't shake her concern for them. The guards step forward, pledging to shield her. Alice confronts the monsters directly and commands the guards to use their magic to defend the noble guests. They must hold the line until the battle ends. The Royal Knight's priority is the princess's safety. Alice promises to do everything in her power to stop the monsters, though inwardly she doubts her chances. No matter how many they eliminate, more keep showing up, as if tracking them constantly. It seems they are being tracked through the gemstone given to Erin. Back to Brian. He faces off against the behemoth, doing his best to keep Emily safe and the monster at bay. For such a powerful creature to invade the palace, there must be a deeper plot. Until now, he had Cyan by his side to back him up, but alone, he must defend both himself and Emily. She places her full trust in him as a monster charges. He prepares to block the attack, warning her to stay behind him and not stray. He manages to deflect the strike flawlessly, surprising himself with how strong he has become. This boost of confidence makes him believe he might stand a chance to defeat the creature. He parries every blow, matching the monster's ferocity blow for blow. Emily asks if he's okay. He reassures her that not a scratch will come his way. Then, distracted for a moment, the monster lunges with its jaws. Brian won't be able to block this attack in time. Just when it seems too late, Nana leaps in, forcefully driving the monster away. She seems transformed, like a different person. Meanwhile, Erin and Alice continue battling the remaining marionettes. The princess raises a magic barrier to shield the knights, while her ally uses spirit water spells to immobilize the enemies. The fight feels endless. Whoever masterminded this is unknown, but clearly planned thoroughly. The knights will wear out eventually, and they need another strategy. In the heat of battle, a mask is knocked off, revealing the corpse beneath. Alice realizes these are essentially marionettes, reanimated by dark magic. To counter them, they need something that opposes dark magic. The first thought that comes to her is Lumendel, the god of light, and his light magic. If someone can wield it, they might have a chance to turn the tide. She calls out to Princess Erin, asking her to infuse her sword with mana. Erin replies that she can't. Doing so would break the protective spell cast on the knights. The Guardian Knight consoles her, saying they'll be fine without it. She hesitates but knows they have no choice. She proceeds to bless the sword with the Blessing of Light. Although combining two mana types is difficult, the princess channels the Blessing of Light into the blade. Spirit magic flows through the sword as smoothly as water, giving it a tangible mana form. Alice isn't fully confident this will work, but is willing to take the risk. On the other side, Cyan had already eliminated most of the marionettes in his path and quickly realized these enemies were nothing more than puppets and mandrakes. Apparently, he had begun assisting Ashel. This was also when Boris officially became one of Ashel's subordinates. Karim expressed surprise that humans still practiced necromancy-type dark magic, such an ancient and forbidden art. He acknowledged her observation and mentioned there was a particular individual who frequently wielded it. He explained how the use of dazed stones accelerated the monster's strength and that the mana within those stones attracted beasts. She confirmed she could sense the dazed stone's mana emanating from a specific direction. He urged her that they needed to move faster, warning that the palace was turning into a slaughterhouse, but before they left, he insisted on changing his clothes. Meanwhile, Alice, aided by Erin, summoned the spirit Marion using light-type mana. Since mana types couldn't be combined easily, the spirit's existence was unstable and couldn't be sustained for long without risking bodily collapse. They needed to end the summon before the spirit deteriorated completely. Suddenly the spirit spoke, questioning why the girl was willing to sacrifice herself. She confessed she hadn't found any other way to defeat the enemies. The spirit expressed disappointment that a child blessed by Freen would face such a cruel destiny. As the marionettes advanced, the spirit's wishless force pushed them back with a single surge of mana. Still, the enemies kept rising repeatedly. Aaron pleaded with her to stop before she died from overexertion, but the mage understood that stopping now would only worsen their plight. She needed to end it immediately. She attempted to invoke the Spirit King's authority, Rongomian's. Just as she prepared to summon him, someone grasped her hand and froze her in place. Unable to move an inch, she looked at her captor, initially thinking him another marionette. However, his aura differed, and he wielded black fog magic, manifesting the fog into a consuming force. Once it enveloped the spirit's entire body, the entity began to fade away, whispering its farewells. Weakened by the fog, Alice collapsed to her knees, drained of all strength. Moments before vanishing completely, Marianne whispered that Farina would always welcome her. Everyone present was baffled by what had just transpired. So Shlona explained that the man had blocked the spirit's mana, nullifying its manifestation, and added uncertainty over whether he was even human. The marionette pressed forward to attack again, but Cyan cut through them effortlessly. Although he attacked, if he took even a small step back, all the enemies gravitated toward the princess's group, as if irresistibly drawn. He asked Karam if she sensed any mana around the group. She confirmed feeling demonic mana emanating from Aaron's necklace. He requested her help to clear the situation swiftly and cleanly. Using his creation space technique, he enveloped the entire room in a fog domain. Panic erupted as no one knew what lurked inside the fog or what threats might emerge. The marionettes began sinking into the mist, consumed within seconds. In moments, all of them vanished completely, leaving the space silent and empty. It was as if nothing had occurred. Both parties were intrigued and amused, wondering who the masked man could be. Suddenly, Lunav collapsed, unconscious from exhaustion. Cyan appeared behind Orion, attempting to remove her necklace. She sensed a vague familiarity but couldn't place him. He shattered the gemstone that had been attracting the marionettes, but the guards attacked, fearful for the princess's safety. Rather than dodging, his body transformed into fog, dissolving from sight. He reappeared beside Lunav, performing something on her, but Aaron counterattacked with her light stinger, also turning him to fog without harm. Employing psychological manipulation, he spoke, assuring them he meant no harm and was there to help. He had destroyed the druids, so the monsters should no longer be drawn to them. He urged them to exit through the front gates, assuring the path was cleared. The fog domain dissipated, revealing the original room. The guardians checked on the princess, but she told them not to worry about her and to assist Alice and Lunav. The mage confirmed she was fine and insisted they recover and leave through the front gate as Cyan advised. She silently resolved that ensuring the children's safety was her top priority, leaving the mystery of the masked man's identity for later. Lunav had sensed his mana and had concealed his presence. In a separate room where Emily and Brian fought the monster, Nana had already slain it and was now devouring its corpse piece by piece. Emily was horrified, questioning if the girl was really a maid. Brian shared her confusion, having never seen her act like this before. She had transformed into a small dragon, radiating a powerful aura. Rumors swirled around Cyan's past life about the banquet flood incident that claimed many lives. Whispers blamed the fifth princess of the empire, Erin Severs, alleging she'd been blinded by her craving for power. The storm that day was likely the real cause, but speculation suggested either Ashel or Luenel had handed her something that sparked the disaster. Following the chaos, both were hailed as empire heroes, emerging as the biggest beneficiaries of the tragedy. Karam struggled to believe they had fabricated the whole event to their advantage, sacrificing their own people for profit. Her disdain ran deep. She even considered humans worse than demons. He responded that this was nothing compared to the atrocities they would commit later, though he admitted feeling regret for the massacres he'd wrought in his previous life. Perhaps he was even darker than them. Rising to his feet, he prompted her to ask if they were leaving. He replied that Nana was probably waiting, and that the knights should handle the palace mess. She hesitated, then recalled her unease about the princess's necklace. She also mentioned Emily, noting the girl carried the scent of Day's stone as well. His shock was immediate. Emily was in serious danger. Nana had lost control, obsessively repeating how delicious Emily smelled as she tried to approach her. Brian stepped in to shield the girl, but was no match for the little one's ferocity. He was forced to admit she was no longer herself. Something monstrous had taken hold. Strangely, she targeted only Emily, ignoring him entirely. He faced a dilemma. He needed to stop her without harming her. Both feared their end as Nana lunged forward, but Cyan arrived just in time, intercepting the attack with his own body, sacrificing himself to save them both. Emily grabbed the bow tie from Nana and destroyed it instantly. Karam shouted at the girl to snap out of it, reminding her that her father was here. The words broke through. Her awareness returned, and she understood what she had done. He stood, a large slash across his back, assuring her it was fine and didn't hurt. Since she hadn't meant it, she hadn't done anything wrong. She collapsed to her knees, consumed by regret over her actions and the destruction she'd caused. The aftermath of her assault had demolished half the room. He turned away, telling her they needed to get out. Meanwhile, Luenell and Ashel assisted the Emperor's escape. They were surprised the rest of the palace appeared untouched, as if nothing had transpired. Both expressed relief that the crisis was resolved but sensed something was off. The Emperor heard Aaron's voice calling out. She sprinted to him, clutching him tightly and thanking the gods he was safe. During this heartfelt moment, the princess noticed Luenell standing behind him, casting her a frosty glare. In a cold voice, the mage said she was glad Aaron was alive. Aaron's contempt for her deepened. She had countless questions, but prioritized tending to the others first. Alice, Lunav, and the guards finally arrived and knelt before the Emperor. He expressed gratitude for saving his youngest daughter and promised generous rewards. Eric noticed Ashel whispering to Luenell. Suddenly, he shouted, pointing his sword at her and accusing her of orchestrating the incident. He declared knowledge of her identity as the granddaughter of the Garum Mage Association president and demanded her arrest. The Emperor rebuked him, ordering his sword lowered, while Aaron defended Luenell, noting she'd saved many lives and was an ally. Eric insisted it was a trick and claimed the Garam Kingdom had long awaited a chance to destabilize the Yushif Empire through assassination and chaos. Luenell, unmoved, challenged him to provide evidence. Ashel interjected, revealing a suspicious mana aura had been detected at her residence the previous night. The Emperor demanded proof or for the issue to be dropped. She explained that she had invited them in peace but kept watch as a precaution. She assured him she would uncover more evidence if given time. He consented, though Aaron voiced frustration. Luenell remained uncertain whether this was a trap or part of her grandfather's design. Lunav of Rain Reaver and her group from the Garam Mage Association were imprisoned for investigation. Meanwhile, Luxemius, separated from Aaron, collaborated with other knights to safeguard nobles and oversee funerals for Marquis Dranian and many others. Funerals took place openly on the streets. Cheyenne had prevented far more deaths than in his past life, yet the event would forever be remembered as the Banquet of Blood. Still, it could have been much worse. Alice tended to his open wounds, cleaning and bandaging them. He protested that she needn't go to such lengths, but she insisted it was her duty as his sister. She remarked on how dangerous the situation had been and was grateful he had escaped alive. She mentioned the masked figure. If not for him, she would have perished. His identity remained unknown, but his height was close to Cyan's. Realizing how much fitter he'd become and noting the fresh scars from training, she reached out teasingly, but he shrugged her off and walked away. Then Ashel entered, his fake cheerfulness casting a darker shadow. Cyan's wariness grew. Alice noticed and suspected he knew of Ashel's cruel and vile nature. He inquired about the progress of the investigation. Ashel said he'd come to discuss it. He revealed that a bracelet containing a day's stone had been found in Lunav's room. She claimed it had been given to her. Cheyenne suggested whoever gave her the bracelet should be a suspect. Ashel nodded and asked if he recalled receiving anything during the banquet. Recognizing a trap, he denied knowing. He then asked if Ashel knew who had given Lunav the bracelet. The man replied that someone had died in the palace today, prompting the investigation. He repeated the question. Cheyenne understood this wasn't about the investigation. Ashel was setting him up as a scapegoat. This realization meant Emily was in grave danger. Cheyenne clocks it. It's a setup. Someone wants him dead. He slumps back, feigning dizziness, one hand brushing his forehead like the pain's real. Alice steps in without missing a beat, backing him up. She reminds Ashel how much he's already been through and adds that the doctor's advice was clear. He needs rest, not stress. Pressuring him like this isn't helping anyone. Ashel seems to buy it. The act is good enough to ease his suspicion. He suggests heading out, but before turning, Cyan finally gives a reply. He says he doesn't recall receiving anything, and even if someone had tried to send something, they probably didn't make it through that hell alive. Ashel gives a slow nod, acknowledging the answer. Something about it satisfies him, maybe because it means he no longer needs to take him out. Still, a part of him regrets it. This was his best chance to erase him. Cyan stays on alert even once he's gone. Alice forcibly pushes him to lie down, insisting he rest whether he likes it or not. Elsewhere, a maid runs through the halls in a panic, Boris not far behind. She keeps shouting that she did exactly what she was told. She gave the necklace to Aaron just like they ordered. She doesn't even know what the damn thing does. Her voice cracks as she begs for her life. Boris catches up and, almost calmly, tells her she didn't mess anything up. But there's still something he has to do. No choice. He slits her throat without hesitation. As she crumples, he quietly curses how all his careful planning just went to shit. Before leaving, he summons a demonic hound from the dark. It snarls, then starts tearing the body apart, erasing the evidence. Far out in a secluded forest, Emily and Brian lie low in a quiet wooden house, far from any eyes. He walks over with a handful of apples and offers her some. Dropping down beside her, they snack in silence before conversation picks up. She asks how long they're supposed to stay hidden out here. He says Cyan gave clear instructions. They're staying put until told otherwise. There's no timeline. It's open-ended. Back in the palace just before their escape, she had handed him a gift, the bow tie Ashel meant for Cayenne. He stared at it, then torched it to ash without hesitation. He told her plainly the palace and the Vert estate weren't safe for her anymore. She had to disappear, at least for now. He turned toward Brian and made it clear he had business to handle, so protecting Emily was now his job. Then Cyan crouched in front of Nana, gave her a small pat on the head. With a rare smile, he reassured her he wouldn't be gone for long. Even Brian blinked, caught off guard by the warmth in that smile. Now back on the forest bench, Emily glances over, asking if Nana's all right. He answers she's had a rough stretch, but she's looking better lately. Emily still can't wrap her head around it. She always thought that girl was just a maid. Turns out she's something else entirely. A dragonic hybrid. Emily knows she has to step up, do more. Their eyes meet, and something unspoken passes between them. Together, they quietly make a pact. They'll give Cayenne everything they've got. Inside the castle, Luanel storms into the throne room, shouting. He rages at Emperor Dion for letting the suspects off so easily. Dion fires back, telling him to lower his damn voice. His decision is final. The prince snaps, dripping contempt. How's he supposed to rule the whole continent with that kind of weakness? What the hell is it about the Garam Empire that scares him so much? A flash of blinding light cuts the air just past his head, shutting him up. The emperor speaks coldly. Conquest sounds noble, sure. But the Ushif Empire borders more than just Garam. There's also the Demon Realm, Sparnia, and Fruina. If Garam becomes an enemy, they'll lose the only buffer keeping demonkind in check. That floodgate opens, the whole continent drowns in monsters. Even if they could seize power, the death toll would be unthinkable. Anyone who wants that kind of blood-soaked rule doesn't deserve the title of emperor. They're just a monster. Luanel tries to pivot, redirecting the topic back to the suspects. Dion cuts him off again, this time mentioning the Day's Stone. The prince stiffens. He didn't expect his father to know about that. His agents shouldn't have gotten that far in the investigation yet. Dion catches his expression. It says everything. He's known his son long enough to know that once he wants something, he doesn't let go. He looks at him, disappointment heavy in his gaze, and mutters that Aaron would make a far better emperor than Luanel ever could. And with that, he walks away, adding he has no desire to see him again. Hearing Aaron's name praised like that makes Luanel boil. He lashes out in anger and storms toward her dorm without wasting a second. He slams open her door with heavy, furious steps. Inside, Leximus immediately steps between them, warning him that Princess Aaron is resting. Luanel couldn't care less. He punches the guard straight in the face to shove him aside. Then he turns to his sister. She looks at him and asks, calm but wary, what reason he could possibly have for barging into her room. He gives a crooked, malicious smile. Says he just wants to have a little chat with his dear, sweet sister. Leximus steps forward, firmly reminding Luanel that if he keeps pulling this aggressive crap, the princess will have no choice but to act, even if he is royalty. He doesn't flinch. That same twisted grin spreads wider as he turns to her and casually threatens to wipe out her entire bloodline over a few reckless words. But before it escalates, Aaron interrupts, voice steady. She tells him to cut the nonsense and asks why he's really here. Tilting her head slightly, expression unreadable, she asks if there's something specific he's expecting to hear from her. He falters, picking up on the shift. She's not the shaky, submissive girl he used to push around. The silence drags and she answers before he can recover. She hasn't received anything from him. That shakes him more than he'd like to admit. It's as if she already knows. A few hours earlier, she had met with the Emperor. He asked whether Luanel had given her anything recently. She told him no, nothing. Dione revealed that the necklace she'd been seen wearing once contained a Day's Stone, a forbidden gem from the Black Blood tribe. These stones were used to manipulate outlawed magic. Most despise them now, but rumors claim they can command monsters. Recent intel suggested someone inside the palace had been buying them on the down low. The black market merchant Gilbert and the maid Merlita had been arranging the deals. Both were now dead or missing. Shock flickered across her face. Dione pressed again. Did Luanel gift her the necklace? He had ties to both Gilbert and Merlita. She paused, held her nerve, and said again, she never received anything from him. After thinking it through, she brought up Lunav, asking if the investigation had cleared her name yet. If they already knew who smuggled the stones into the palace, then Lunav shouldn't be considered a suspect anymore. Dione nodded, assuring her he'd leave the girl out of it. Still, Aaron couldn't shake the fear that if she exposed Luanel, he might lash out at anyone close to her. She couldn't let anyone else get hurt. Back in her dorm, she repeats her earlier claim. He remains quiet, still thrown off, but doesn't deny it. This was what he came for. Even so, her sharp tone bruises his ego. He threatens to go after Leximus instead. She holds her ground, completely unfazed. She informs him calmly that she has a guest right now, and he should leave. He raises an eyebrow, asking who it could be. From the far end of the room, Cyan steps into view. He's been standing there the whole time, silent, unreadable, not making a sound. He casually says he heard everything. Luanel stares at him, dumbfounded, not sure what's worse, Cyan's stealth or the fact that he didn't notice a damn thing. He scowls, annoyed that the knight's treating the whole thing like it's a joke, but Cyan doesn't react, not even slightly. He moves to stand beside Aaron and, unfazed, asks if Luenell plans to come at him next. The prince hesitates. There's been talk that Cyan and Aaron might be engaged, and pissing him off would be stupid. He's the son of one of their father's closest allies. What Ashel had said earlier still gnawed at him. A few days ago, he had asked why Ashel was so dead set on eliminating Cyan when their father clearly trusted him. Ashel told him straight. Cyan irritated the hell out of him. He was hiding something big, and the not knowing was driving him insane. Now Luenell gets it. That presence Cyan carries, it's unsettling. He suddenly tones it down, backing off and claiming he was just messing around. Now that the misunderstanding is cleared up, he says he'll be on his way. Cyan finds the whole thing weird. Luenell Severus, the one history once called the Insane Emperor, actually seems reasonable, at least compared to the one from his previous life. Before leaving, the prince glances toward Leximus and gives an apology for the earlier hit. The knight, still stiff from the punch, apologizes back for what he said. Once Luenell's gone, Leximus mutters that he's a piece of crap. He thanks Cyan for showing up, but Cyan shrugs it off, saying Aaron handled everything just fine on her own. Without warning, he drops down beside her. She stiffens, cheeks flushing. She points out that he's sitting way too close. He just glances over, unbothered, and asks if he's not allowed to sit there now. The teasing tone flusters her more. She doesn't even try to hide it. Cyan had one goal: make Luenell believe he and Aaron were a thing. Now that the bluff worked, the prince wouldn't dare touch her. With that handled, he gets up, ready to leave. Leximus watches him go, visibly confused by how casually he's bowing out. He's done his part. He walks away without looking back, while Aaron quietly sinks deeper into her feelings for him. Luenell storms into Ashel's office, slamming a fist against the stone wall. He demands to know how his ally plans to fix the mess. The plan was supposed to be airtight, so why are all their targets still breathing? Even worse, he's lost his father's faith. Ashel was supposed to be the shining hope of the Yushif Empire, and now everything's falling apart. Boris enters, interrupting with a calm tone. He mentions that there's been some progress. He introduces himself and offers a polite greeting. The prince glares, asking where the hell he's been this whole time. Boris explains that Ashel had sent him out on an errand. He also brings news. Emily has vanished. Ashel asks what kind of success he's talking about. Boris pulls a small, glowing pyramid from his coat and holds it up. He says they've underestimated the people closest to Princess Aaron. Luenell asks if they're supposed to reflect on that. Boris shakes his head. It's not about reflection. It's about facing the evidence. Inside the crystal, faint traces of mana swirl. Most of it is ordinary, but there's something else. Black fog creeping along the edges. That specific aura belongs to the demonic sword, which means someone in Aaron's inner circle is wielding forbidden power. Back in the royal dorms, Emily sets down a steaming platter. Dinner tonight, a monstrous, demonic-looking scorpion. Brian stares at it like it might lunge at him. Meanwhile, Nana and Cyan eat like it's no big deal. Brian pushes his plate away. Cheyenne's already finished, brushing his hands clean as he stands. Emily asks if he can stay longer, maybe eat a bit more. He declines. If he sticks around, Ashel might find him, and that would put all of them in danger. He says he only came to check on them. Emily still can't go back yet, but Brian can handle errands if needed. Cyan quietly assures them that he's stationed people nearby. Right now, this place is safer than anywhere else. He tells them he'll be back later, then heads out. Just as he steps outside, Sarika, the hallmaster, blocks his path. Her voice is laced with sarcasm as she comments on his adorable little family. Then her tone darkens. She wants answers. How did he know about the banquet of blood? Or the death of her fiancé? Everything about him screams foreknowledge. She gives him one warning. His answer will decide what comes next. Depending on what he says, she'll either mark him as an ally or label him a threat. Her voice drops, serious now, as she asks him directly, no more games. Who the hell is he, really? Who is Cyan Vert? There's no way he could have known who her fiancé was, let alone that he died. Cyan tells her straight. Drenian, her fiancé, was bound for purification regardless. It shouldn't matter. She doesn't buy that and suggests he might actually be part of another faction, one that's been spying on them. He stays unfazed and asks her directly, if he were a spy, what kind did she think he was? Her only reply is a dagger hurled at him in a flash. Karam bats it away mid-air, stepping between them and snapping at her for daring to attack her wielder. Sarika holds her ground, not backing down when there's a chance for a real fight. They throw themselves into a clash, sharp and fast. The blade spirit breaks away just enough to ready a technique, then unleashes a dense sphere of black mist straight at her. She narrowly twists out of the way, and everything the attack touches is obliterated behind her. Had it hit, or worse, had she tried to deflect it, she'd be dead on impact. Now she gets it, why Karam stays in sword form so often. It's the only way to keep her strength in check. If she went all out, she could level the whole city. Only another demon lord could go up against that kind of power. Their standoff resets, eyes locked, both poised to strike again, but Cyan cuts in first. He activates demonic control over Kram and shuts the whole thing down. He warns them both that this much noise is going to get them noticed. They've blown their cover, and now Emily and Brian need to relocate. He steps inside the small house, ready to tell them the plan, only to freeze at the sight of Lunav, sitting casually at the table with the others. She's bypassed the barrier completely, not even a ripple of detection.